folks, I'm Steph. I'm Emily's husband and partner at Makelite. And my role here is that I tend to look at things from a data point of view, a kind of scientific point of view, when it comes to Instagram. One of the products that we've built is an analytics tool for your Instagram images, where if you pop over to the tools page and sign in with Instagram, you'll get a report that looks at all the colours, themes, and hashtags you've been sharing over the last month or over the last year. And it shows you which ones are most popular with your audience, so you can use it to understand how to put your efforts in the right place to encourage people to follow along with what you're doing, and maybe adjust some of your sharing habits so you're sharing images that are more resonant with the kinds of people who are around you. It's a really useful tool also for working out your kind of brand colours and the kinds of things that are core to what you're about, and maybe you didn't really realise. And I think a lot of people, after signing up to the tools and seeing that insights report come through each month, have really adjusted their behaviour and really altered the way that they're using Instagram, and it's really helped quite a few people grow their accounts. So it's very encouraging to see. One of the things that we've seen along the way is that a lot of people are using the Instagram pod idea to try to get past a lot of the problems that people have seen about the Instagram algorithm, perhaps not necessarily showing them the images that they were used to seeing every day in the stream, and showing a kind of different variety of images from a different variety of followers. And so to get around that and worrying about the fact that perhaps they're not being seen by their followers, they've adopted this strategy of getting a group of people around them to like and comment on their images in a little group, and that's the essence of what a pod is. Now the trouble is there's a bit of a precedent for this. There was a site a few years ago that launched that is very, very popular nowadays. And in its early days, it went through a very similar process to this. It kind of adjusted its algorithm and had to respond to people finding out that they could get around it in this similar way by getting people to upvote and like things in order to be more prominent. And that site is called Hacker News. It was a very popular site amongst the technology community. You probably haven't heard of it, and it's quite a niche site for many people. And the idea there is it's a daily news service, so people pop in and they post up a link to something they're interested in, and then other people can then vote up the ones that they are also interested in, and then the sum of it all is that the ones at the top are the ones that are currently most liked. Now, I went through this a little bit in my previous post about Instagram algorithms and understanding the algorithm, and the idea here is that it's not necessarily the top ranked posts that are the top, it's the kind of most recently top ranked posts. So it looks at how many times people are clicking the upvote per hour, and then ranks the ones with the highest rate at the top. So it's not just the sum of all of the likes, it's how fast they're going. And that has parallels with Instagram. Now what happened is that once people realized on that site that they could get things to the top by getting lots of people to press like very, very in a very short space of time, lots of people started sending direct messages to each other on other platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, via email, in forums, saying, hey guys, please upvote me on Hacker News. And they posted a link, and then immediately several hundred people would pop in, upvote something, and then bam, it would be right at the top. And the advantage here was that because so many people were looking at that site, you get an absolute ton of traffic. Thousands of people visit your site, and you could get a lot of benefit from it. It was a great way to launch a new business or a new product. Now, the thing is that the folks on the other end of the algorithm, the programmers, saw what was going on. They saw all these people upvoting, and they said, look, you need to stop doing this, because all we're going to get is these groups of people who are very good at organising these kind of upvoting circles to pop in, and then all we're going to get is what they have to share in the world, rather than what the community has to share. And so what they did is they wrote another algorithm, you can see where this is going, that scanned through and looked at the kinds of people who were posting regularly against each other's posts. And they were able to find these little groups of people. And then what they did is that rather than banning them or sending them an email saying please stop or anything like that, they just made their votes count for zero. So these groups would do it once and go, yay, we got to the top, isn't that amazing? But the next time they did it, if the same group of people all upvoted a similar person's link, then those votes would count for 0. And eventually that just became the norm, because they wanted to get rid of this kind of gamesmanship, the way that people were kind of subverting the rules to get round them to benefit themselves. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is it's very similar to what's happening with Instagram pods, because essentially you've got a platform, Instagram, where the purpose of the platform is to see the world through your friends' eyes. That was the idea behind Instagram when they started. And they've designed their systems so that's the thing that comes through. They want people to see friendship. They want to see people they care about. They want to see information and interesting ideas and inspiration from people's friendship communities. And the thing is, because it's become so popular, brands and businesses and all sorts of people have piled in and they want their stuff to be seen. But they're not friends. That's not seeing the world through your friends' eyes. That's being connected to businesses and what they're up to. And so I think what Instagram have done is they've altered the way that they're sharing images and ordering them and bringing in different factors. So one of the factors that helps you be visible on Instagram to somebody else is whether you're in a direct messaging relationship. If you're sending direct messages to each other, then your images will automatically be more prominent in the feed. There's lots of these things going on. Let's go back to the Instagram pods here. So I've talked about what happened with Hacker News. The same thing has happened with a site called Product Hunt, which is another very popular kind of technology site. And they're also seeing this issue of people kind of having these voting collaborative pools. And Instagram obviously has been following along too. They're not oblivious to all this. So what might they do? Well, I think there's some clues here. So if you think about what's going on, there are little groups of people who want to get their images shown to a wider range of people. And one of the factors for seeing your image on Instagram is that there are lots of likes simultaneously. So a pod will go in and say, right, everybody go in at this time, everybody post at this time, and then we'll all like it up together simultaneously. And that will mean that those images then get a boost because they will look like they're really interesting and exciting. But really, that's playing against the algorithm. That's not really being a good actor. You're kind of cheating a little bit, to be honest. Now, that's fine if you want to do that. But the trouble is, what happens if Instagram do something similar to what happened on Hacker News, where suddenly those votes start counting as 0? It's very, very easy. So remember I said at the beginning that I've scanned through several million images and I've got all this data, and that's just little old me, and I can very clearly see where there are pods in the data. It's really simple. You can see within the first hour of posting, the same people are popping up on the same feeds as the ones who upvote and comment on images. Now, if I can see that, then Instagram's data team can see that too. And if they decide that they don't want this kinds of gamesmanship kicking in, then they might put a block on it. Now, they might even have done it already, who knows? So that's I'd worry about that. I worry about that sort of stuff. I try not to play against the rules too much. I like to kind of play in that grey area, but this feels a little bit against the terms, because if you go to build an application on top of Instagram, like we have with MakeLight, you have to abide by certain rules, and they're called the API Terms of Service, the Application Programming Interface Terms of Service. And so that's the agreement that you make as someone who writes code or builds an app or anything like that, that you agree to abide by these things. And there are a couple of things in there that give me the sense that they don't want this sort of stuff to happen. One of them is directly against using likes and comments in a kind of a sharing way. So there's a specific line in the terms to say, please don't set up an app to deliberately share likes and comments. So they've seen it already, they know it's going on, and they've actually written it into their agreement. The other one is, do not make a side community. Well, that's an interesting one. So they're obviously paying attention, they're obviously seeing that this is against the rules, and if they see you doing this, having this kind of behaviour as an application maker, they'll turn off the application. So I guess the thing is here, you can probably make a pod work, but at a technical level, there might come a time when those things are downranked, or even your likes might start counting as 0, that kind of thing. They could punish users in some way automatically. So that's the thing that I worry about mainly. I think in terms of the data, it doesn't really show that there's a great deal of effect, as far as I can tell, when people are using pods and the success. It seems to be that if you've got a big account and you've got a very engaged following, then that's the best way to the best way to grow. The biggest signal I see is the like rate on your images. So if you're surrounding yourself with very relevant followers, then it seems to be that if you are putting out images that people love and are interested in, and you've surrounded yourself with a very relevant community of people who like your stuff, then you'll get a very high like rate on your images. So maybe 10% of people who are following you will press like on your image. That's a very high rate. Usually what happens is smaller accounts tend to have a much higher like rate than larger accounts. So as your account gets larger and more people are following, actually, strangely enough, fewer people press the like button. There seems to be this kind of correlation between the size of the account and the number of people who press like. Maybe they just think you don't need it anymore, you don't need the encouragement, something like that perhaps. So it certainly seems to me that yes, you might get an immediate benefit from upvoting in a pod, but I just don't think that there's that much of an effect as far as I can see from the data. The speaking a little bit more in a human way, though, having kind of done a little bit of research around this and seeing how people are faring using this approach, it does seem that it can be quite tiring. There seems to be a bit of a fatigue about using a pod, but in that you have to agree to be online at a certain time, you have to agree to kind of mechanically press this like button and leave a comment. And actually, I worry about that. I think that perhaps might take away some of the love from Instagram or from any kind of online community. If you make it a kind of mechanical process, then it starts moving away from feeling like a hobby or something enjoyable and more mechanistic, and it makes it feel like a job or a task or a chore. And I'm not sure anyone really wants to make their kind of sharing online and their storytelling feel like a chore. So generally, I'd say that MakeLight, we've been against pods since the beginning. We've said in our community group a fair few times, please, we don't really agree with this. Can you not share this idea here? We're happy to support the idea elsewhere. You can discuss it, but we're just not pushing this idea. So I'll end with something positive, because that does all sound a little bit negative. The one thing that I do think is strong about the idea of people coming together and supporting each other and helping each other grow is a sense of community and feedback. And I think what's been missing so far in pods is that kind of sense of learning and improvement. So we have something that we're building that isn't a pod. It's not the same in any way, but it is about groups of people coming together and connecting with each other to offer feedback and support around improving what they're doing and they're sharing. So I'll leave that as a teaser. I'm not going to explain exactly what it is, but I've been busy building this, and you'll see it pop up on the MakeLight site quite soon. If you'd like to be one of the first people to try this out, or if you'd be interested in having a bit of a questionnaire sent over to you to help me improve what I'm doing, then I'd love it if you pop in your email address. I'll send you a questionnaire, and then when it's ready, we'll announce the beta, the kind of the initial version of it, so that you can have a play, test things out, and then let us know how you're getting on. It's a brand new free thing that we're going to be offering for the community. There'll be a souped up version for the membership, but for now, if you're willing to try something out and you're seeing pods and you're thinking there's something in here, there's something useful, but I'm not sure it's exactly this, and if you agree generally with what we were saying about gamesmanship and community, then I think this might be the product for you. So do pop in your email. I'd love to hear what you think about this issue, because we think there's an essence of something great here, but it's just been slightly misaligned with what we think is important for growing and improving and connecting with other people. So looking forward to seeing if you'd like to have a go, and thanks very much for listening to our little kind of deep dive on Instagram pods.